What if the key to easing nausea, calming inflammation, and supporting recovery wasn't a lab-made pill, but a spice in your kitchen? This episode uncovers the surprising science of ginger and what it means for your health.
Please hit that subscribe button now and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Don't forget to check the description below for links to our trusted sponsors and ways you can support the show. Ancient remedies turned modern medicine. Sounds like old news, right? But here's the twist. Ginger, that simple root in your kitchen cabinet, is revolutionizing how we think about treating nausea, backed by groundbreaking scientific research.
You know what's fascinating about that? The active compounds in ginger, especially gingerols and shogaols, are showing effectiveness rates comparable to some prescription medications.
Let me share something surprising from the research. When they studied ginger in chemotherapy patients, they found that lower doses actually worked better than higher ones. We're talking 0.5 to 1.0 grams being more effective than larger amounts.
That really challenges our usual more is better thinking in medicine. How exactly does ginger work its magic?
Well, the science is pretty remarkable. Ginger works through multiple pathways. It helps with gastric motility, meaning it gets things moving through your digestive system more efficiently. But here's where it gets really interesting. It blocks serotonin receptors in a completely different way than conventional anti-nausea drugs.
So you're telling me it's like having a key that opens the same door but from a different angle?
Exactly that. And what's even more fascinating is that in clinical studies, they've found these compounds can actually work alongside conventional medications because they're not competing for the same binding sites. It's like having two different solutions working in harmony.
The research on pregnancy-related nausea is particularly compelling. You know, up to 80% of pregnant women experience nausea and vomiting in their first trimester.
And that's where some of the most robust research has been done. Looking at multiple clinical trials with over 1,200 pregnant women, they found that ginger consistently outperformed placebo for reducing nausea severity. We're talking about a natural remedy that's been proven effective through rigorous scientific testing.
Though I imagine standardization must be a huge challenge. How do you ensure consistency when dealing with a natural product?
That's actually one of the most critical issues in the research. Studies have shown that the concentration of active compounds can vary dramatically between different ginger preparations. Some commercial supplements had practically no active ingredients, while others had significant amounts.
Well, that certainly explains why some people might try ginger and not get results. They might not be getting enough of the active compounds.
Precisely. And here's something really interesting from the pharmacokinetic studies. These compounds only stay active in your body for about 1 to 3 hours. That's why many successful clinical trials use multiple doses throughout the day, rather than one big dose.
The timing aspect reminds me of how traditional medicine often emphasizes taking herbs at specific times of day. Modern science is validating some of that ancient wisdom.
Speaking of validation, let's talk about the safety profile. A large Norwegian study with over 68,000 women found no increased risk of birth defects or other pregnancy complications when using ginger. That's the kind of data that really helps establish safety.
The way this research is bridging traditional knowledge with modern scientific methods is really remarkable.
You know what's particularly interesting? When they looked at different forms of ginger, fresh, dried, powdered, they found that dried ginger powder actually contained the highest quantity of these beneficial compounds, about 7 to 14 milligrams per gram, compared to only 2 to 2.8 milligrams per gram in fresh ginger.
That's unexpected. Most people probably assume fresh is always better.
Right? And here's another surprising finding. When they studied the conversion of gingerols to shogaols during the drying process, they discovered that shogaols might actually be more potent for certain effects. It's like the processing is creating a more concentrated medicine.
The implications for cancer treatment support are particularly significant, especially given how debilitating chemotherapy-induced nausea can be.
The largest study on this included 576 cancer patients, and they found that ginger significantly reduced acute nausea when combined with standard anti-nausea medications. But here's the key. They used standardized extracts with specific concentrations of active compounds.
That level of standardization seems crucial for medical applications. How are researchers addressing this challenge?
they're developing more sophisticated analysis methods. Using high-performance liquid chromatography coupled with mass spectrometry, they can now precisely measure the concentrations of different compounds. This is helping establish quality control standards for medical-grade ginger preparations.
The evolution from traditional remedy to standardized medical treatment is fascinating to watch in real time.
And what's really exciting is that we're probably just scratching the surface. Researchers are now looking at ginger's potential effects on everything from inflammation to blood sugar control. The same compounds that help with nausea might have multiple beneficial effects we're just beginning to understand.
Looking ahead, what do you think are the most promising directions for this research?
Well, there are three main areas that seem particularly promising. First, developing standardized formulations that can be prescribed with confidence. Second, understanding how ginger compounds interact with different medications to optimize combination therapies. And third, exploring new applications based on our growing understanding of these compounds' mechanisms of action.
That really highlights how modern science can help us maximize the benefits of traditional medicines.
Let me leave our listeners with one final thought. Sometimes the most powerful medicines aren't created in a lab. They're discovered through centuries of human experience and validated through modern science. Ginger is a perfect example of how these two approaches can work together to improve human health.
That's such an important perspective on the future of medicine, bringing together the best of traditional wisdom and modern scientific understanding.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wellness Lab Digest. If this episode helped you, here are 3 quick ways to support the show. 1. Subscribe to stay updated with fresh, body-loving wellness insights. 2. Share this episode with a friend who needs this today. 3. Comment below and tell us what topics you'd love to hear next. Want to do even more? Check the video description for ways to support the show. Stay curious, stay well, and we'll see you in the next episode.